Anora has already been crowned an Oscar frontrunner, but there's one question that's still left to answer. Is it actually good? I've got my thoughts right now. This episode's brought to you by Mando. Go to shopmando.com and use promo code Dan for a special offer, and stay tuned after the video for more info. Hello everybody, I'm Dan Murrell here with my thoughts on Anora, which is a movie I've been waiting to see for a very long time, since the summer when it made its premiere at the Cannes Film Festival. Anora is the latest film from Sean Baker, who seems to attract buzz and awards attention with every project that he writes and directs. It won the top prize at Cannes, the Palme d'Or, and it's poised to make a run at the Academy Awards and other awards as we head into the end of the year. But I think it's important not to let awards talk overshadow what's really important, which is the effect of the film on its own terms. And I found Anora to be a really, really good movie. Mikey Madison plays the title character, Anora, who prefers to go by Annie, a stripper who's introduced to Vanya, the son of Russian billionaires who's enjoying a vacation in the US before going back to Russia to start into the family business. Annie becomes Vanya's paid escort for a week, eventually accompanying him to Vegas, where they decide on an impulse to get married so that he can stay in the US and they can build a life together. But when Vanya's wealthy parents hear what their son has done, they set out to have the marriage annulled, and Vanya returned home by any means necessary. If this sounds like a conventional Hollywood setup, that's by design, because Sean Baker starts the movie out as the type of movie that you've seen before. Two star-crossed lovers against the world, against the odds, fighting for their real, true love. And that movie might have been all right, but Sean Baker's got something bigger in mind, because if Act 1 of Anora is Pretty Woman, Acts 2 and 3 are uncut gems. It really goes in a different direction than you're probably expecting. There's a distinct turning point in the film at a point where I thought the movie was going to cut away to what I assumed the next scene would be, because I've sort of been conditioned, and I think most moviegoers have been conditioned, to expect certain things given how the movie's being set up. But instead, the movie stays here. They stay in this setting, and things just keep getting heightened and escalated and almost slapsticky at a certain point. And that's when I realized that we had shifted into a different gear here, and that this wasn't going to be the movie that I expected it to be in a good way. What we get is a movie that is more real and more insightful than what seems at first like a traditional whirlwind romance. Maybe that movie would have been more satisfying, but it wouldn't have been as interesting. Sean Baker first hit my radar back in 2015 with his movie Tangerine, which is on my top 10 list that year. And when you look at that movie and the movies he's made since, he seems interested in pulling back the curtain on a world that you think you might know, or that you think you might have some kind of understanding or preconception of, whether that's sex workers on the street in LA, whether it's people that live in the shadow of Disney World, or former porn stars. His movies are about pulling back the curtain on what your expectation as the audience might be. Here, Baker pulls the curtain back on Hollywood itself. What would a love story like this actually look like? What would the true ramifications be? What happens when fairy tale meets harsh reality? I love that Sean Baker made the first act of this movie look and feel so conventional, because he's lulling us into this false sense of security. And it's not really until the cracks in the facade start showing that we understand what's really going on here. And then when you go back and think about the beginning of the movie, you realize that those cracks were there all along. We've just been trained to overlook them. And in that way, we are being put into the shoes of his main character, of Annie, who herself doesn't see these cracks until it's far too late, and she understands the situation that she's in. Mikey Madison is fantastic as Annie. At first, she appears to be your standard New York tough girl.
You know, Jimmy, the girls and I have been talking, and if your cousin doesn't start showing us some respect, we're not gonna tip out anymore.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll talk to him.
But we see her guard begin to drop, only for her to be punished for her vulnerability by the force of the response to her unexpected marriage. Annie finds herself in the middle of a war that she didn't really sign up for, desperately looking for allies, somebody to help her out. And there's a reason that Mikey Madison is an Oscar frontrunner. Some people would say the Oscar frontrunner for Best Actress, because while I've enjoyed her in some of her previous roles, she's been in some pretty high-profile movies, I think that this role is the one that announces her as an actress who is absolutely a force to be reckoned with. She deservedly gets a lot of the spotlight, but I also want to highlight the performance of Mark Adelstein as Vanya. At first, he seems like a dumb, spoiled 21-year-old billionaire's kid who enjoys having sex with a beautiful American woman paid for with his parents' money. But by the end of the movie, my feelings toward his character changed a lot. And I don't really want to take you through it because that's part of the discovery of the movie, is the unfolding of the story. But by the end of the film, I had a palpable, almost visceral emotional reaction to his character. And I think it's because his performance is so rooted in what seems like the reality of the story. And so once you get to the end point of the film, you feel completely differently about him. And yet, when you go back and look at the beginning of the movie, you understand exactly how we got to where we got. It's the kind of role I think could be overlooked because it does seem so real, and Madison has that flashier role, but a lot of it is in response to Vanya, and Adelstein's pitch perfect work in the movie invests us even more in what's going on with Annie. Overall, this is one of the best journeys I've been on with a group of characters in a very long time, because there are some people who at one point you love, and at the end of the movie you absolutely loathe them. And then there are other people who you really don't like at one point, and who you come to understand and really do like by the end of the movie. Two standouts are Karan Karagulian, who's a veteran of Baker's films, as Toros, Vanya's American chaperone who has to explain to his parents how their son ended up married. He's able to make an entire punchline out of just the word no. The other standout is Yura Borisov as Igor, an enforcer whose true nature ends up being one of the movie's best revelations. He's a great example of a character that you think you know, but who reveals so much more as the movie unfolds. Anora isn't just about romance and the concept of society and what we think of as a fairy tale. It's also about the world of the ultra-rich. It is a world that is inhabited by very, very few people, and it's made very clear that Annie is not one of those people. This world is strange, it's alien, it's intoxicating, but most of all, it's powerful. And this movie is largely about what happens when the full might of that power is directed at someone who's regarded as an outsider. The results are terrifying, infuriating, but also often hilarious, because Annie is a character who is not afraid of these people, which is something that they're not used to. They're used to people doing whatever they say because they have a lot of money, and they really have met her match here because she feels like she should be allowed to at least have a spot in this world, or be allowed to have a chance to earn a spot in this world because she's married to this person that she loves. And seeing that dynamic and that pushback is really, really interesting. I think Sean Baker's one of the best filmmakers working today. He served as director, writer, producer, and editor on Anora, and I'm excited to see what he comes up with next. And I also like that it seems unlikely that he's going to get swept up in the indie director to blockbuster intellectual property pipeline. I hope that Sean Baker gets more mainstream recognition for Anora, but I also hope that means that he's allowed to continue making the movies that he wants to make. The odds makers at the Academy Award tracking site Gold Derby have Anora as the frontrunner right now for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actress, and Best Original Screenplay, as well as a contender in many other categories. I think that adding that much award season hype to a movie could potentially lead to a letdown for people that just show up to say, okay, well, I guess it's supposed to be the best movie of the year, and if it can't quite reach that bar, then they feel like they've been lied to or misled somehow. And I think that that's not what should be going on here. I asked the question in the title of this video, does Anora live up to the hype? And I would say, on one hand, yes, because it is one of my favorite movies of the year, but also I'm not ready to crown anything my favorite movie or my favorite performance of the year, because I don't think that we should be setting benchmarks at this point. So when we talk about a movie living up to the hype, I think really what it just means is it a good movie that I liked, or is it a movie that I didn't like or that I didn't get? I was happy in that this movie, which I heard was very good, I thought was very good, but I'm not going to put any of that pressure of Oscar expectation on it, and I would recommend that you don't do that either. Show up to the movie ready to engage with the story, ready to engage with the characters, ready to take you on this journey that the movie takes you on, process those feelings, and then whatever happens with the awards or the Oscars or anything like that, that's just icing on the cake. The important thing is the effectiveness of this movie. I thought that this was a very effective film. I enjoyed it very much. I think it has some of the best performances of the year. I loved how they did the story. I love how Sean Baker structured this film. And I think that it is likely to be on my list amongst my favorite movies of the year, but I'm not ready to put a crown on anything just yet. So looking at my personal scale, I'm giving Anora a see it now rating because I do think that it is a really, really good movie. And as far as everything else, well, that's going to shake out at a bunch of glitzy awards ceremonies happening over the next few months. So those are my thoughts on Anora. What do you think? Are you lucky enough to have it playing near you? I had to wait 2 or 3 weeks for it to get to my market. I hope that it's playing somewhere close by or will be soon. Let me know down in the comments below. And before we go, I want to thank the sponsor for this review. This episode's brought to you by Mando. The temperatures may be cooling down, but let's be honest, that doesn't mean you stop sweating. And the last thing you need to worry about is whether the crisp smell of fall is being corrupted by your own autumn aroma. That's why I like having Mando around all year long. No matter what you've got going on, Mando is there to make sure you smell as crisp as a freshly fallen leaf. Mando is a whole body deodorant made specifically to be used anywhere and everywhere on your body, and it's been proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. Mando deodorant comes in solid stick and spray options, and all of their products are baking soda and paraben free. Plus, Mando comes in a variety of scents like Cloverwoods, Pro Sport, and my favorite, Mount Fuji. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, and 2 free products of your choice, like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, plus free shipping. As a special offer for fans of the show, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with my exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off of your starter pack. Use code DAN at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com. And don't forget to please support the show and tell them that I sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. Thanks to Mando for sponsoring this review, and thank you for watching. Be sure to stay tuned right here. Tomorrow, I'm going to give you my thoughts on the first batch of episodes for Arcane League of Legends Season 2. Then on Monday, I'm planning to get you a spoiler review for the first season of The Penguin over on Max. And then on Tuesday, we'll have Charts with Dan. And we're getting into a lot of reviews and stuff because we're getting into the holidays. We're getting into all of the award movies. I'm trying to watch as much as I can. So stay tuned because we're going to have a very busy couple of months as we close out 2024. Thanks so much for watching this video and this review, though. And until next time, stay safe. Bye.